Skull, 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 skull. Let's go. Minnesota Vikings. Man, the skull chant never gets old. I love it. Minnesota Vikings, though, here at number 20. A very, very fun team to watch this year with a young quarterback, a lot of potential. But there are some question marks, okay? The offensive line with Christian Darrisaw being injured. You got Jordan Addison potentially suspended. We'll see how all those things shape up. Let's talk roster, though, okay? Let's get into the O line. And this O-line, it is looking, at least on paper, as one of the best O-lines that I have seen this Minnesota Vikings team field in a very long time. And you got Christian Darrisaw at left tackle. You got Brian O'Neill at right tackle. I ranked this tackle room at number 3 in the NFL. And with Christian Darrisaw, there's a real chance that he ends up on the PUP list, which would mean he's out for the first 4 games. Could they survive with Justin School? Absolutely. School's a solid backup to have. I don't think he's, or anything like going to come in there and be, crazy or anything, but they should also help him out with like a guy like Josh Oliver, put him next to him as a little chip help for JJ McCarthy. And I think that School can get the job done over there at that left tackle position if need be to start out the season versus the Bears. And then you got young guys like Logan Brown, Walter Roos. We'll see how they develop along. I do like Logan Brown and also Walter Roos. Definitely guys with some upside. And if they develop, they could be some really good swingmen for this offensive line. And you also could include Donovan Jackson in this group because if they really needed, if it gets really bad, hey, move Donovan Jackson over there and play Blake Brendel. I know it's a little bit of tongue twister. Blake Brendel, say that 10 times fast or even 5 times fast. I don't know. But yeah, you do have Blake Brendel. I'm going to slow that down when I say his name. He could end up playing that left guard position, and you move Donovan Jackson over to left tackle. And who knows, maybe that's something that they would consider as well. Now, moving on to the interior, which I ranked on at guard at 16, Will Fries, Donovan Jackson, they've overhauled this unit. And then Ryan Kelly at center, I'm ranking number 11. Kelly would be higher on my books. He's just dealt with some injuries, but he is one of the smartest offensive linemen in the NFL. He's a good guy that's going to be able to call protections for a young quarterback. It's exactly, I think it's one of the most underrated signings that they had all off season was getting a guy like Ryan Kelly, who's going to give that veteran mindset for a young quarterback in JJ McCarthy. I think the center position in general is an underrated football position. And Kelly's going to bring the absolute knowledge that JJ McCarthy needs under center. Michael Jurgens going to fill in, I would imagine, for the backup center position. Remember, Ryan Kelly, the injury history is going to be something to keep an eye on with him. So Jurgens might have to step up for this football team, and he has three-way versatility as well. Overall, their offensive line on the interior looks pretty solid compared to prior seasons. Joe Huber going to be competing for a spot, and Henry Bird also a potential spot there for him. And then maybe Zeke Carroll or one of those other guys, Marcel Johnson, Vershawn Lee, keep guys for practice squad and whatnot. The offensive line, though, top 15 unit from me. Then you go on to the wide receiving core, ranked number 7. It starts with the Jetta man, Justin Jettas. Let's go. You got Jordan Addison. Unfortunately, the suspension looming more than likely, whether it's 4 games or 6, hopefully 2. That'd be great. Jalen Naylor going to have fill in big time early in the season. I've heard he's gained a little bit of weight. He's hit the gym, right? He's got the little Arnold Schwarzenegger vibes going there, trying to block some people this year. Ty Felton could be asked to called upon early on in the season as well as a rookie. Now, I do think he's pretty solid in terms of if he had to play snaps early in his career, I'd be okay with that. Felton's a guy that can play on the outside, can play in the slot. You got Rondell Moore, another dude that's had some injury questions throughout his career. We shall see if he's 100% or not. And you had some other dudes to watch out for, like Silas Bolden, could be a special teams dude that can make the roster. Deshaun Jones definitely has a possibility to make the roster. So we'll see how the wide receiver room works out. Maybe they keep around 6 wide receivers, possibly 7 early in the season with Addison and the suspension. Onto the tight end position. You got TJ Hawkinson, who should be 100%. Look at that picture. Oh my gosh. It looks like he's, throwing lightning bolts from the sky or something. Anyway, you got Josh Oliver, one of the best blocking the tight ends to go along with TJ Hawkinson, who's not a bad blocker within his own right. You got Galvin Bartholomew, who has a lot of upside. 6th-round pick, I believe, and from Pittsburgh, good, decent athlete and in good size. Unfortunately, he is injured, so we shall see what they do with him. He could just end up being on the IR or the PUP at some point, and that way they keep him on the roster. Keep an eye out on Benjamin Yarosik and Bryson Nesbitt, both guys that I thought were steals UEFA-wise. I definitely had draft grades on both of them. And Yarosik could be a good little development inline outside slot weapon. And Nesbitt's more of a slot only gadget, like Evan Ingram type of player. He's got a lot of linear speed, though. He's not the most loose athlete, but certainly I think he could be a dangerous weapon for this offense. and even could use him as a utility man on their offense. So hopefully he gets an opportunity in training camp and preseason to show what he's got. Do like him. This tight end room looks really good. I rank it number 5, even with kind of the injury history that they've had and whatnot. Running back, top at the end, above average for me at number 15. And what a 1-2 combination this could be this season. Aaron Jones, still really good. Yeah, he's, beyond the 30 mark, and you got to expect some regression, and it's going to happen. But Jordan Mason was a really good signing. This guy is a bulldozer. He breaks tackles like a machine. Yeah, Ty Chandler for special teams, and then maybe some competition between Scott and Stewart to make the roster. And Ham, I expect them to keep CJ Ham. Overall, the running back room looks great. Then you go on to the quarterback position, J.J. McCarthy. How does he look in technically his rookie season? I mean, second season, but overall rookie season as a quarterback starting out there throwing passes. We get to see him really, really pumped for that. There's going to be some growing pains. I'd be shocked if he hits the ground running. I mean, he really was a raw prospect coming out. The coaching here is, though, I think it's really good coaching, so he'll have that for sure. Sam Howell is the backup. I think third string, if I had to guess, I think Brosmer ends up winning the job just because of the upside. I like Brosmer out of Minnesota. He's a guy that definitely has some sneaky upside to be a really good backup. And who knows, maybe, you never know, right? You never know with these guys, how they develop, how motivated they are, all those sort of things. He's a guy I would keep on the roster. And yeah, quarterback overall, I rank at 26. Just too many question marks at this moment with JJ McCarthy. I need to see him actually throw in the NFL before I can really make tons of judgment. So that's why he's more on the below average tier at the moment, but definitely has all the tools and the upside. Defensively, okay, let's look at this edge and the defensive interior. Now, the interior, I rank at 16. On paper, it could be a very, very good one. You got two players that, if they bounce back like Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, have a lot of potential to be really, really big time additions for them. Now, coming off the seasons that they had, both struggled. And Allen was dealing with a lot of injuries. Hargrave just didn't really look productive for the 49ers, and they wanted to save some money, and I totally get that. Now, Allen, to me, I think he will bounce back. Hargrave, I could go 50-50 on that, but as a situational guy, like, I'd be totally fine with that. And then you got some upside guys with like Levi Drake Rodriguez, a lot of athleticism, good size. Jalen Redmond's going to be a really good rotational player for them. And then you got the Rock Harrison Phillips on that interior as that space eater nose. Interior is at least average, and it could be above average depending on, the bounce back of Allen and Hargrave. And then we'll see about some of these other guys like Harris, Bell, maybe Taki ends up making the roster. I've heard some good things about him. So we'll just kind of have to play that. So, maybe if they keep 6 interior defensive linemen, I expect at least 4 to 5, but I'd say 5. Edgewise, I'm going to say 4 to 5 here as well. And yeah, I mean, also you have to think about Tyron Ingram Dawkins. He's a guy that will play inside and on the outside, depending on what looks they're going to give. They're going to give 3-4 and 4-3 looks. I just put these in base formations and nickel packages, but they're going to play a little bit of multitude of defensive fronts, and Brian Flores aggressive, lining up everywhere, do some crazy stuff, defensive looks that he does. Some of the best in the business, of course. But Dawkins will play a multitude of roles. I just list them off the edge there. So we'll see, where the majority of snaps he comes from. Could be at like a 5-tech position or even a 3-tech. Guys to watch out for, obviously you got Grenard, you got Van Ginkel, Tower Turner. Those are your 3 locked-in starters, okay? They're going to be, that 3 combination is really, really good. Who else to watch out for, though, other than Dawkins? Murphy and Batty are going to be competing, and then Richter as well. I think those 3 guys are going to be competing for a roster spot, but the best man win. Maybe they keep 2 of those guys. And Chaz Chambliss also maybe is an option, and definitely a practice squad candidate for me. He could be a utility man for this defense line, can play a little off ball for this football team. Overall, the edge room, I rank at number 9. It's a top 10 unit. And if Dallas Turner takes the next step, then it could be a top 5 unit. But there's just still maybe too many questions with Dallas Turner. I mean, he's a freaking unbelievable athlete. I want to see it put together in production. And then we on to the linebacking core, where you got Blake and he earned some cash. You got Ivan Pace Jr. Got to show more in coverage. Like, he just can't be inept in coverage this season. If he can do that, then I feel good about this linebacking core. Still rank him at number 11. Blake Clashman's a really good player. Ivan Pace, he's such a dynamic blitzer and a run defender. Just got to smooth out some of those weaknesses, okay? If he can become an okay coverage man, then he's going to be a really good linebacker. Eric Wilson gives you at least a good backup plan, and he's a solid player that can come in there in a pinch and start. And he's not just in a pinch, like, he can play. And then they drafted Cope King in the later rounds. I liked him actually coming out of Penn State. He was a good run defender. He's another guy that I do think needs a little bit more time in coverage, but in terms of just basic zone drops, he can do stuff like that. Brian Asamoah is going to be fighting for a roster position. We shall see how they keep. I mean, Asamoah can do good on special teams, so maybe keep him for that for sure. On to the cornerback position. I rank it 16th, right in the middle of the NFL. I mean, Byron Murphy's a stud. You got Isaiah Rodgers, who was really good for the Eagles in limited roles. And then you got Josh Metellus, who's been a really good utility man for this team. And remember, they play a lot of three safety looks. Okay, they love to get creative depending on what personnel the other team is using. That's one of Brian Flores' specials. So Martellus can play safety, can play in the nickel, can play all over the box. You name it, right? Martellus is just the utility man, and they just locked him up on a contract for very good reasoning. Who's going to be competing on the outside, right? You got Jeff Okudah, Mekhi Blockman, that'd be a great comeback story, and then Dwight McGlothern. Those guys, to me, end up making the roster and will be competing for backup roles if they want to move. Like, for example, if Martellus is playing in the back end, maybe they move Murphy into dime packages in this slot, and then Okudah can play on the outside of Blockman or McGlothern. It just kind of depends on how they're going to work with that. Overall, it's a pretty dang good, solid cornerback room that will get the job done, especially with the way this defense is structured. Maybe they play a little more man coverage this year. Who knows? Safety wise, they have it number 18. Yeah, you got some question marks. I mean, Harrison Smith, the hitman, is getting a little bit older. He's still, super instinctual and a leader for this football team. And Theo Jackson, I've heard nothing but great things. And when he's been out on the football field, he's been a difference maker. He's made plays, and I expect him to be a very solid football player. He's learned behind some of the best here. Bynum, who's a super instinctual player. Harrison Smith, obviously, in that leadership he brings. You got Jay Ward, who could play a good amount of role as well. Another utility man that can play in the slot. So can Theo Jackson. He can play all over the field, but he gives them their best like coverage man right now. I think in their secondary, Tavir Thomas can play in the slot too. So their safety room, it's not going to be a detriment to this football team, barring injuries and whatnot. I don't know if it's an elite unit this offseason or this season, but it should be fine. Really, that's the way I feel about the safety room. Coaching wise, I rank them number 11. It's a good coaching staff. You got Kevin O'Connell, and O'Connell's been very, very good throughout his career so far. In his fourth season now, Flores is a great defensive mind. Wes Phillips also in his fourth season. What Flores is in his third season for this football team. So they're in a really good spot overall coaching wise. So just outside my top 10. You could sell me on top 10. And yeah, they're a good coaching staff. Definitely a top 15 unit. I wouldn't call it an elite coaching staff just at this moment, but I would definitely put them in the upper echelon. I think they have a good dynamic as well and schemes and mixing things up from a week to week basis. So finishing it up with the record prediction, Minnesota Vikings, drumroll, 7-10 is what I have for the Skull Nation, Minnesota Vikings. It just comes down to some variables with a young quarterback and trying to figure some things out. Wes Phillips and Kevin O'Connell getting into all the scheme stuff and Page and still have some injuries and maybe pupless or not pupless, but possibly a suspension with Jordan Addison. So maybe it's a little bit of a rough start to the season. Those are just some variables we have to kind of think about with this Minnesota Vikings team. The future looks bright, right? If JJ McCarthy can develop, this team has a lot of talent. The coaching's good. We'll see, right? It's a really interesting one. So let me know what you think. Agree or disagree? Minnesota Vikings School Nation, am I too high? Am I too low? Hope you have a cool day, though. I'll keep you. See you later.